In today's video, I'm painting a set of delicate watercolor bookmarks inspired by the quiet beauty of nature. This is one of my favourite go-to practices when I want to slow down, reconnect, and simply enjoy the brush on paper. So grab your paints and join me for this relaxing session. Let's fill these bookmarks with calm, colour, and a little bit of nature. Hi everyone, Diane here, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be painting some bookmarks with you. And this is what I did yesterday. This was my practice work that I did yesterday, so they won't be quite like this. There'll be some differences, but just in case you're interested in the ones I did for my trial, I'll just put them here so that you can do a screenshot if you want. Now, these are done on a sheet of Meeden watercolor paper. It's 12 by 9, cold press, I think it is, or rough would be fine too. And I just divided it up into 5 sections for 5 bookmarks so that they're nice and big, so that you don't lose them easily, and got plenty of plenty of space in which to paint. And to divide this up a second time, I'm going to just be very lazy and use my ones I cut out. I just cut them out. I didn't put any borders on these with tape or anything like that, so that's the exact size that they were when I painted them. And of course it doesn't work quite right, but it's near enough. So we'll do that. So we've got them divided into 5, and it didn't take 1,000 years to do. But that one wants to actually go a little bit that way. There we are, that's okay. So I'm going to put these ones over here so that I can see them for inspiration. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm using my newly acquired Meeden 48 set, the one that is available on Meeden at the moment with a double discount on it, and you might be interested in that. They've got it reduced in the sale, and then you get your 15% off if you use Diane 15 as you're at the checkout. So I'm just tidying up a little bit to give myself a little bit of space. And what I'm going to do as a warm-up for this one, I'm going to do a design with just basically leaves, and I'm going to do it in more or less monochrome. And that's because I think it will be a nice contrast to the floral ones. So this will be one that I haven't actually yet done. Gosh, all the things that you get out when you're painting. I don't think I'm going to bother with a sketch. But I might just put one line in. Let me see, shall I start over this side? I tend to start on the right-hand side of a piece of paper. I'm not quite sure why when I'm doing this kind of thing, but I think I will. And I'll just put in a line that goes kind of just wavy line like that. But then I'm going to do the leaves more or less randomly. And I'm going to do them in 2 shades, excuse my throat, in 2 shades of green, looking at my little what's it here. I think olive green. I think I'll just start with olive green, and then we'll see how that goes on, because I'm going to put it on here or here. Actually, why don't I do it here? These little dishes are remarkably useful. And I'm going to add plenty of water and mix up a reasonable amount of paint, because I know that I'm going to do all the background leaves, the first set, in that colour. And I'm not going to put any I'm not going to put a line in for the stem at the moment. So I'm just pressing down and lifting up, just to give, or pressing down and lifting up. You can go either way. The shape you get will be slightly different. And then you can drop a little bit more into the base of each leaf if you want, to just make it a little bit darker at the end. And you can give it a little stem if you want. Or you can start with a little stem. You can do them preferably all different angles. That one's gone a bit dark, so I'll just lift that up a bit because I just want them light. And you can practice your leaf shapes here, you can make them curve, you can make them bend down. If you find leaves difficult, they are different, aren't they? All of them are different. If you find leaves difficult, then you want to do something like this to practice them. And so I've done basically it could be a vine, couldn't it? And I'll just put the stem in now, going through the leaves. So then I'm going to add some more dark green, and I probably will go for a little bit of black green. That's this one here, so that we've got a nice, rich, dark colour. And I'm going to go up the top here and start again. Have a bit more. Isn't it interesting to see how the little bleeds go into the stem like that? So we just put them wherever we think we might like them. And we're just going to go all the way down. Maybe we'll take a branch out to the side here and put a few more on there. And there's more than one way of painting a leaf. You don't have to do it the pressed down way. You can do it, paint the outline first, like that, and then fill it in. That's fine. Just add a little bit of dark to that stem. Don't be concerned about going away from the first line that you did. And if you want to lift off some of the paint because it's too dark, just wipe off your brush so it's got a sort of vacuum cleaner power to it, and it'll suck up the paint. If you don't like that look, you can just get rid of it. So there we are, that's the start. So I'll just put another little one in here. That one can go off the edge. Okay, and now I'm going to mix in some black. I'm going to put that over here separately. And I'm just going to put in the spaces black berries going down. Put them in groups of 3 or 5 or something like that if you want. You can join them to one another, or you can just leave them loose. I think leaving them loose is probably easiest, but keep going. It's about this time that you'll start to think about whether or not you want to put veins on the leaves or anything like that. But you could, if you want to, of course, you can have these darker ones, the darker leaves going over, and just maybe a few where you've left some spaces. Doesn't matter if they overlap. Probably looks better if they do. If you can hear our sheep complaining, it's not because they're starving hungry or anything like that. We had them shorn this morning, so they've taken off their fleeces and they're ready for the summer. And I think they're just complaining because they've noticed that they're feeling chilly, although it's not cold, so they shouldn't really feel cold at all. Okay, and I'll just put a few separate berries floating around in some of these spaces. You could put some spatter on as well if you wanted to, but I don't think I will. When that's dry, I might come in with the gold pen and put some veins in the middles of the leaves and see how that works out. So that's that one. Now I'm going to go to the other end of the paper, I think, so I'm out of the way of the slightly damp paint. And which one shall I do? I think I might do this one. I'm going to use a different brush this time. Maybe, it suddenly got very hot in here. Maybe a slightly bigger brush. I think I quite like where is it gone? No, this one. Here we are, the Princeton Aqua Elite, which has a slightly different shape to the hair section. And I'm going to paint in pink to start with. So we'll pick up some of this colour, which is called cerise, bright pink, and some purple, which is this one, a bit more. There we are, and push that down a little bit, and maybe put some blue in there to make it slightly bluer colour. Let's try a little bit of the medium blue. Oh no, not that. It's good to test it first. How about this one? Nope, no good. Let's go back to good old reliable ultramarine. Yes, that's better. A little bit of trial and error never did anyone any harm, so we'll water that down a little bit. And then we're going to put, we're just going to put some petals in, like this. Just random. And the shape of this flower is really basically comes from the ink that you're going to put on afterwards. So we'll just put in some blobs basically, and we will let that dry before we do anything else. Then we go back to our green, a nice dark green, and I'm just going to, hopefully won't touch. And then we'll put some quite large leaves in. we leave it at that. And what I need to do now is dry it. And we're going to put some centers in, and let's go for black. Go for broke. And I'm going to put it in with little dots this time. You can do them solid if you want, but I'm going to do little black dots like that this time. And then I need to come back with a little bit more. No, actually, I better wait for that to dry a little bit. So I've got a pen here. This is an Edding 1800 0.5 water. Gosh, come on! Just after lunch, and the brain doesn't work. You know, it doesn't run if it gets water on it. What do you call that? Waterproof. Waterproof. That's the word. I don't know. Do you find that you have lunch, and after lunch, what do you want to do? You want to go to sleep. Oh, God. I remember saying to my mother when I was a child, and note, I was a child, she used to nod off after lunch, especially on a Sunday. I'd say, "Mum, you're falling asleep." And she would go, "I'm just resting my eyes, dear." And I would say, "No, you're not. You're going to sleep." I hated it when she went to sleep on me. I don't know why. It's funny. Anybody else used to do that to their poor mothers? Poor, everlastingly exhausted mothers. So I'm just putting some scratchy lines over these vein stems. And now I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to I'm holding the pen sort of quite a long way back because I want to lose control. You know, we all need to give up control sometimes, don't we? So I just want to lose control on my pen so that I can do scratchy lines until I feel I've got it right. So some of them are going to be double lines, and that just indicates the sort of folds in the petals that you get. Right there. And just scratchy. Hold the pen halfway down, and then you can do a little bit of less control. Okay. Go around it again, perhaps. And it does give a nice modern kind of look. I think this is rough, actually, this paper. Let me just have a quick look. Oh, no, it's just cold press. Okay, so it's just cold press. That's what I thought it was. But then I was thinking, oh, maybe it's rough. But there we are. So we've got our shape for our flowers. And really, all that remains now is just to take our white pen and just whiten up in the centres of this one here a little bit. And I shall just drop in a little touch of spatter. That'll do. And that one's done, basically. In the meantime, while that finishes drying, I'm going to go back to this one. And I'm going to draw in some kind of doodly kind of lines for the darkest leaves. You could do them in white if you wanted to, instead of gold. I think it's probably definitely time that we started thinking about Christmas presents. And, you know, some people will be selling cards at fairs and things coming up towards Christmas. So bookmarks are always popular. And so I thought I would get a head start on doing some bookmarks. I'm putting spirals in these little seeds, berries, whatever they are. Okay, and then I'm going to get the white pen again, and I'm hoping this one is going to do the trick. Are you going to? Yeah, we can just put some dots in these just to indicate a spot of light. Or the, I don't know, just to look good. Okay, so there we are. That if you wanted to, actually, you could put some white veins in these mid-sized, mid-coloured ones if you wanted. That one, and that one. Okay, you could put some over here if you want, a few dots. Don't think it really needs it though. So that's 2. Okay, shall we do a blue one now? Maybe we'll do one a bit like this. This is cornflowers. And if I remember rightly, when I did the practice, I used 2 shades of blue. I think I started off with this one. Did I? Or maybe it was this one. Yeah, I think it was that one. I'm going to go in the middle now. Oh, wrong brush. I don't think that will do as well as the Meeden brush for this. I think this is quite good because it's got quite a sharp point, and we can just do basically a big mass of spiky, because this is supposed to be cornflowers or something like cornflowers. None of them are really botanically accurate. That's not my thing. So I'm doing a background of quite light blue. Then I'm going to come in with ultramarine. That light blue is actually called light blue. So then I'm going to drop in the ultramarine to give another layer of texture. Maybe a little bit darker over this side. Okay, that's number 1. And I'm going to do a few. Oh, I hadn't finished. Forgot. Need to go back with another slight veil of paint. I forgot that. Again, for just a little bit of additional texture. So now we'll go to the ultramarine. And painting the cornflowers this way, they do definitely lose all of their shape, but that doesn't matter because you're going to go in with a pen afterwards and put it back. That's 2. And then it's just nice to have the mixture of blues, actually. That is probably a bit pale. So I'll pick up a bit more of the same blue. And then I'll go to the ultramarine. Okay, so now we go back to the green. And what we've got to do is get our stem to go right down to the bottom. And this one also. And this one. And then I'm going to put in some grasses down the bottom here. This is just a slightly different idea. Then we will go for the leaves. Not too many. And in a few sort of darker leaves down here. And I'll just pick up some really quite bright blue for the centres. Just let that spread out a bit and grab my handy hairdryer. So now we go back to the pen again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in, just like this one, some really free and easy petals, coming down to the centre and pressing a little bit harder near to the centre so we get a dark area there. You can then put some black dots in there, and that just makes it look more petal-like. Do it on here too. But it's all very, you know, it's artistic, isn't it? I like the way the black kind of gathers near the centre. I think that's quite effective, really. And then this one here, same thing, it's a bit closer, so we'll do our petals a bit bigger. And I'll probably go around twice, like that. Then we'll come down. Doesn't it make a difference to the whole thing? We'll come down the stem. And then we'll go over the leaves. Don't try to stick to the shape of the leaf that you've painted. Give it a bit more life, give it a bit more freedom. That's what we all need. And then we just put in some grasses using the pen. And basically, Bob is indeed your uncle. Okay, so now we have 3. Next one I'm going to do is this one. And I'm going to do this one with slightly different colour petals because I wasn't awfully happy with that. So let's do that. And I'm going to start with brown in the middle. Let's do that. Followed up swiftly with dark brown. And I'm going to do, let me see. Oh, yes, I know what I wanted to do. I have found, if I can find it, here it is. I have found something very precious. This is a half pan of quinacridone gold, the original quinacridone gold, PY49, which is the pigment that was discontinued by the manufacturers in 2008. And it finally 2004, sorry. And it finally ran out after Daniel Smith had used it all up. They purchased all of what was left from the car manufacturers that had it. And that ran out in 2018. But somehow Winsor & Newton got their hands on some of it. And this is a Winsor & Newton half pan of quinacridone gold, which is a non-granulating colour. And rather a nice yellow. And when this was available, I used to use it all the time. And I seem to have lost this little pot, but it turned up yesterday. And after a brief consultation with AI, it seems that this is PY49 indeed. So therefore, quite an important little colour. So we'll do 2 burnt sienna heads like that. Then I think that one's called dark ochre. This one's called ochre. We'll just do that. And then you can see why this colour was so highly sought after. And we never thought that they would discontinue it. But they did. I don't know why. And when you buy quinacridone now, if you do, which I tend not to do, because it's just a mixture of about 4 different pigments. And that's not the same at all. Because this is a 1 pigment colour. So I'm going to leave that like that and let that blend. Put that away, keep it safe. We'll go to my green and we'll come down, trying not to touch. Come down like this. And this one is going to have to go, whoops. There's always something, isn't there? I'm going to bring that one as if it was coming from there. And I'm going to go with the same kind of shape of leaves, but maybe a bit smaller. This green is lovely. This is the olive green from Meeden, plus a little bit of the genuine quinacridone gold. So there's that. And we'll dry that, or let it dry, and then go over it with the line. So that, I think, is a big improvement on that. And then we want one more here in a nice bright colour. So let's do, for comparison's sake, let's do something like this in something like this. This is the Meeden yellow-orange, okay? Which is a very bright yellow. I'm going to do a bit of stamping on here to vary that a little bit. And then we'll have another one here, much paler. Another one here. And another one here. And then we're going to come in. See how we've varied the whole shapes there. So we'll come down the bottom and start here. I don't mind if this one runs. This one's gone a little bit more abstract-y. So I'm going to put into the center some dark umber, similar to this, just to show the difference between the two. Let me just put that in. You can drag it out a little bit like that if you want for a certain look. And now I'm just going to pop the hairdryer on that. For these two, I think I'm going to use brown. I'm going to try it anyway. So, same deal. Hold it halfway down and just allow your hand to shake a little bit. And it gives it much, much more texture. And then if you do kind of scribbles in the center, that really does make it much more interesting. And then we can come out again and sort of give the leaves a little bit of curve by curving those lines. Don't only do them straight, do some of them wonky. And it can still be nice and delicate, even though it's ink, but it can still be nice and delicate. This is a 0.1 fine liner from Winsor & Newton in sepia. And you could also add some black dots in the center. Totally lots of ways of doing this. Now this one I'm just going to do like this. And we'll do some scribbles in the center. This one I'm going to do the same as that. This one has automatically given itself some sepals. So we'll go with the flow on that one. There we are. That's that. And then we'll come down with the leaves and the stems with the pen again. As I say, even though you're using ink, which is well known to be a defining factor in a painting, if you use brown, it's less contrasty, so it kind of looks a bit more gentle. And you can do whatever embellishments you want on there. You can do veins and so on and so forth. And I don't think that one needs any spatter actually, because it's pretty full. You might want to put some additional line work on some of the flowers. Yes, I think I'll go over this one again to make it look a little bit more complete. It's a different flower from the others. These ones, different. This one's like those. Okay, and then we've got this one where I think we want to outline the leaves on the stems here. Getting close to the end now. I hope you enjoyed this. And don't forget to give us a like and to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you get notified when we put up a new video. At the moment, we're doing a bit of a mixture of this and that because we're putting up regular videos on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And I'm doing for members only. They get an extra one every day, which is for the daily challenge, which is a shorter one, usually only about 10-15 minutes, sometimes a little bit more, where I'm just painting a flower. Actually, I've chosen to do a flower every day this month, so it's Joy of June. And so if you became a member, you'd have access to all of those ones that we've gone before. And it's only for about $4 a month. And there are quite a lot of benefits. I won't go into them all now because you'll find that a bit boring. So you could have left these flowers completely unsullied. But on the other hand, it's quite nice sometimes just to put some line in and brings them up another level, really, if you want to do that. But I think they look perfectly fine also, untouched. Quite nice, it's slightly different, but I thought I would just do that to make them all into a set. So If you're looking for something to sell on your Christmas rampage this year, you could make sets like this. And so we are going to stop there, and there we are. We have got 5 lovely botanical bookmarks. So I'll let you go, and I will see you again on Saturday, if not before. So I'll say bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.